Hello everyone. As part of previous video, which is part 1 of class versus object, we have covered first 3 questions. What is object oriented programming, what is class, what is object. So now let's take a look at rest of the questions. Okay, classes versus object. Does class occupy any memory space? Object size in memory. What is the base class of all classes in .NET? Okay, so let's go with the fourth one, class versus object in C#. Class versus object. So a class is a template or prototype or blueprint, as discussed in part 1 video, right? So a class is a template for creating objects, whereas object is an instance of a class, right? And class is a logical entity while object is physical entity, because class is a blueprint, does not occupy any memory, but object will occupy memory. So object is a physical entity and class is a logical entity. Okay, so let's take a note. First point, what's the first difference? A class is a template, we can also call it as blueprint or prototype, template for creating objects, whereas the object is an instance of a class. A class is a template for creating objects, whereas the object is an instance of a class, right? And second one is class is a logical entity, while object is a physical entity. Third one, a class does not allocate any memory space when it is created, because this is just a blueprint. Object allocates memory space when they are created, because these are physical. Let's take a note. A class does not allocate memory space when it is created, and object allocates memory space whenever they are created. A class does not allocate memory space when it is created. Object allocates memory space whenever they are created, because object is physical and class is logical. Okay, let's go with fourth one. What's the fourth difference? We can create class using class keyword, right? And we can create object using new keyword, right? Okay, let's take a note. You can create class using class keyword. Keyword means all small letters, and object using new keyword. Okay, let's go with fifth difference. A class acts as a type, because class is a type and can be used to gather data and methods together into a single unit, because class contains variables and methods. But objects are like a variable of the class, right? Okay, let me show you practically. Class is a type, I mentioned, right? Let's try to declare private here. Generally, as discussed in our previous video, class should have only public and internal, right? See, elements defined in a namespace cannot be explicitly declared as private, protected internal, or private protected. Let me open this one. So if you see here, type declarations in a namespace. Type means class. Class is a type we declare in a namespace. Okay, can have either public or internal. So class is a type. Okay, a class acts as a type and can be used to gather data means variables and methods together into a single unit. Okay, but objects are like a variable of the class. What I mean to say is objects are like a variable. It's like a variable int a, right? This is a variable. So okay, clear. Objects are like a variable of the class. A class acts as a type and can be used to gather data and methods together into a single unit. Objects are like a variable of the class. Let's go with sixth difference. The class has to be declared only once. Okay. An object is created many times as per the requirements. If you see here, we have only one blueprint, but we have so many objects. Okay. Because we can same class with the same name we cannot declare again, right? However, we can create multiple objects for the same class. See, I can create one more object for the same class. Car1, car1, some variable, unique variable. Okay. Sorry, it is there already. Car2. Okay. So we can create multiple objects for the same class, but the class has to be declared only once. Let's take a note. The class has to be declared only once. An object is created many times as per the requirement. Okay. Yeah, let's go with the next difference. Seventh one. A class does not have any values that can be associated, because this is logical, but an object has values that are associated with it. For example, if you see here, this object has values associated with it. Okay, b and w. Okay, here we can have some other thing. Okay, but a class does not have any values that can be associated, but an object can have. Let's take a note. A class does not have any values that can be associated, but an object has values that are associated with it. A class does not have any values that can be associated, but an object has values that are associated with it. Okay, so these are the differences between between class and object. Hope you are clear. Okay, let's go with the fifth question. What is the fifth question? Does class occupy memory space? We discussed so many times so far. Does class occupy any memory space? when you define a class in C sharp, it won't occupy any memory because this is just blueprint. Okay, but when you define a class, it will just be saved as a file on your hard disk. Okay, the memory allocation takes place only when you create objects, because object is what implements contents of the class, right? If you see here, object is what implements contents of the class. Okay, a class without an object requires no space allocated to it. Okay, without objects, no space required for class. So let's take a note. Defining a class in C sharp won't occupy any memory. The memory allocation takes place only when you create objects, because the object is what implements the contents of the class. Defining a class in C# won't occupy any memory. The memory allocation takes place only when you create objects, because the object is what implements the contents of the class. Okay, a class without an object requires no space allocated to it. A class without an object requires no space because it is just a blueprint without an object, right? A class without an object requires no space allocated to it. Okay, the here I mentioned the memory allocation takes place only when you create objects. Okay, let's prove this practically as part of sixth question. What is sixth question? Object size in memory. Yeah, let's see this now. Object size in memory. Okay, unfortunately there is no direct way to find out object size in memory, but there is one way. Okay, we can use garbage collector class. Garbage collector has the method get total memory. Okay, that will measure the amount of memory used before and after creating your object. Okay, yeah, let's try to check practically. Let me delete all these. Let's see what's the memory size before object creation and after the object creation. Okay, console.write line, there is a shortcut, just type cw and press tab two times. Okay, object size before. Let me change size before object creation. You can also call it instant size before instance creation. As I mentioned, garbage collector has get total memory. It is return type is long. Okay, get total memory. See, if you see here, retrieves the number of bytes currently thought to be allocated. Okay, get total memory. Force full collection true. It is returning long. Let me declare long some variable I declared. Size before bytes. Similarly after, if you see this get total memory is returning bytes, retrieves the number of bytes. Okay, let's see after instance creation as well. Size after, size after, let me remove this one. Okay, I'm just printing size before after, sorry, before instance creation and size after instance creation. Okay, let's see number of bytes. What's the difference in bytes before and after instance creation? Let me run it. So yeah, if you see here, size before instance creation, it's around 480 kilobytes. Size after the instance creation means with new keyword. When you create object with new keyword, then only memory will be allocated. So now it is 514 kilobytes. How much difference? It's around 34 kilobytes. Right? Okay. So it is proved that when an object is created using the new operator, memory is allocated. Right? Okay. Let's take a note. So we don't have any direct way, but this is one way only. Unfortunately, there is no direct way to do it. One way is, there is no direct way to find out the object memory, right? One way is to use garbage collector dot get total memory method to measure the amount of memory used before and after creating your object. Okay, so unfortunately there is no direct way to do it. Okay, one way is to use the garbage collector dot get total memory method to measure the amount of memory used before and after creating your object. Okay, so it's proved that when an object is created using the new operator, memory is allocated. Okay, so we have covered another 3 questions, that is 4, 5 and 6, and the last one is pending. Okay, so please do refer part 3 video for 7th question. Okay, so thank you all. If you like this video, please do subscribe for more videos. Have a nice day.